Hey there, today I am sharing some Rustic Farmhouse DIY Christmas ornaments that are part of my Christmas in July series. Welcome to Creative by Nature DIY and Decor. My name is Donna. For our first DIY, you'll need some heavy-duty jute twine, and I'm just unraveling some from the spool, and then cut off a strand. Then you will take the long strand and wrap it around your fingers. I went about 20 to 30 times, and then you'll want to snip that off. Using that strand that you had cut, you'll want to place it through all your loops and then tie it off with a knot. So once you have your loops all tied together, you will need another strand, and you're going to be wrapping that around all the strands near the top, as we are going to be forming a tassel. So I like to take my twine and wrap it around a couple times, and then I'm going to be tying it off with a knot. You could use colored twine if you'd like. You could also do this with string, but I really wanted to try and create a really rustic farmhouse look, so this neutral twine worked great. So now I am going to be pulling out more twine, and this time I'm creating a loopy bow, and I am creating 5 loops on each side. So I have another strand of my jute twine, and I'm tying it off with a knot in the middle of our bow, but I end up changing that out, and I will show you what I do a little bit later on. I'm just trimming off the excess ends as I don't need those. So I was going to leave the loops intact, but then I decided to cut through them. So here I am just using my scissors to cut through all the loops, and then I'm going to just kind of fluff that up as shown here, and now you have a tassel. But I am going to do something really cool with this tassel. So I'm going to need 3 strands of just regular jute twine, and I also am going to be using a wire. Tie your strands off with a knot and then weave the wire into the knot. As you can see here, I also have a clipboard. I'm going to take that knot and clip it down, and now I'm going to start to braid our pieces together. As you can see, I am adding the wire in along with one of those strands as I am braiding. Once you have the desired length, you can then just pull the wire off to the side and then knot all your strands together again. This will prevent your braid from unraveling. So now I want to attach this braid to the top part of our tassel. So I'm just going to bend the knot up, and then using some hot glue, I'm going to put that into place, and I'll be wrapping that braid around that top portion of our tassel. But I needed to cut that knot off, and then using just a bit of hot glue, it'll prevent it from unraveling on the end. So now I'll just wrap the braid around the top, add a little bit of hot glue along the way, and then finish by gluing down the other end of our braid on the back side. Again, trim the knot off and use some hot glue to stop it from unraveling. So here you can see that a little bit of the hot glue is showing, so I'm just getting a little scrap of my twine and just add a dollop of hot glue at the back there, and I'm going to use that piece to cover it up, and then you can't even tell that there is some hot glue underneath. Just cleans it up really well. So now I want to add my loopy bow to the back side, covering up that knot. As you can see, we're making a sweet little angel. But I found that this twine in the middle of our bow was too bulky, so I decided to use some wire, and I just used it as you would a twist tie. So I'm going to just trim off the excess, and again use some hot glue to add your loopy bow to the back side to cover up the knot that you'll see here in a minute. There you go, and I'm just covering that up, and then you have a sweet little angel. But again, I wanted to cover that wire. I didn't really want the wire to be showing, so I'm just using a little piece of twine again to cover it up. And again, that works really, really well. So now you can just fluff up your bow, add a knot to the top of the twine, and then it's ready to hang on the tree. I love the look of this rustic twine angel. I think it'll look so pretty hanging on the tree at Christmas time. Today's video is part of the Twine It Up monthly challenge. This is hosted by my friend Fanny from Creations by Favi, and her co-host this month is Antoinette from Simple Yet Chic. I'll have the playlist along with both of their channel links listed down in my video description below. So for the next DIY, I'm actually going to be using some yarn for the first part. So I'm using this pretty cream colored yarn, and I am going to use one strand along with some loops that I'm going to be wrapping around two of my fingers. I will be wrapping it around about 40 times. The more wraps you have, the thicker it will be, so keep that in mind. So I'm going to be using that extra strand I had, and I am going to, as you can see, press it through my fingers and pull it up through the other side. And I am going to be tying it off in a knot really tight around all of our loops in the middle as shown. You want to make sure you pull that quite tight. And then I'm going to be taking my scissors and I am going to cut through all the loops. So yes, I am going to be creating a pom-pom. So you could use some other colored twine. I just wanted to keep mine nice and neutral. And then once you've got the loops cut through, you can give your pom-pom a haircut. So I'm just going to create just a round shape. You could leave it oblong for this particular project, but I just wanted to round it off. I just wanted it to be symmetrical. So now I have this paper tube left over from some paper towel, and I'm just cutting off a ring that's approximately 1 centimeter wide, and I'm just going to trim it off so it's even. Then using that clipboard, I am going to wrap some thinner twine around it. Now I am going around it approximately 20 times. And then I'm going to be pulling all those strands off. Once you have your strands pulled off, you can then cut through just one side of them and leave that nice full length. Now, this is where we're going to be using all those strands. I am going to take one strand and then fold it in half and then put the loop through the middle of our paper tube ring, and then pull the strands up through the front and pull them through the loop and then pull tight. And we're going to continue to do that until we have our loop of cardboard all covered. So again, you're going to put your loop up through the middle of the ring, pull the strands through the loop, and then pull tight. Once the cardboard ring is all covered, you can now take all those strands and push them back through the other side by pushing them through the middle of that ring. What we're doing here is creating a hat for our little pom-pom, and you could use some regular yarn or string for this, but of course, since this is a twine challenge, I wanted to try this out with the twine. So now I'm going to be using a pom-pom so I can fluff up our hat. I just shove that in the middle. You could use some fiber fill as well. And then I have an extra strand sitting to the side there, and I'm going to be tying that around all of our strands to create our hat topper. I'm just arranging my strings so you can't see that white pom-pom showing through. So here I've got my string and I'm just going to tie that around and tie it in a knot. So again, just rearrange those strings so you cover up your pom-pom if it's showing. And now you can take your scissors and just trim off the strands at the top. And this will just create that, the little fluff or pom-pom part of your hat. And you can just shape it till you have the desired look. Here I'm just kind of trimming off a few of those strands. I've seen some people take some flame and burn them off, but I kind of like the rustic look here. So now I am just taking a piece of twine and I'm going to create a hanger by tying a knot and then gluing it into the middle of our little hat topper. So now I'm just kind of pressing firmly the twine on the side there of our hat, adding some hot glue and then putting it onto our pom-pom. So as you can see, we are creating a little gnome, so we need a nose, and I like to use wood beads. So I'm just going to decide on the color and then add some hot glue and place our wood bead into place just underneath the rim of our hat. So the hole of the bead is showing on the other side. So I'm just adding some glue and then I'm putting the yarn to cover up that hole into place. And here is our little pom-pom gnome all ready to be hung on the tree. For our next twine ornament, I'm going to be using a piece of cardboard, and I'm just roughly using some scissors and cutting out a tree shape. Now you could trace your tree shape out if you prefer, but I'm just freehanding it. I'm just going for a basic shape. You can trim it down as needed until you have your desired shape and size. So using the heavy-duty jute twine again, I am going to use some hot glue onto the cardboard and start to wrap it around this piece. Now, this ornament was inspired by some projects that I had seen on Pinterest, and I knew that this would be really easy to recreate. So again, you could do this using some string or yarn, or I have seen jute twine in so many different colors. So definitely check out your craft stores to see what there is. So I'm just adding a little dab of hot glue here and there, and then I'm going to continue to wrap the twine around until our cardboard tree is fully covered. So once you get to the tip of your tree, you're just going to add some hot glue and then just finish wrapping your twine around, and then you can trim it off. So at this point you could leave your tree as is and use it for some different projects, but I want to turn mine into an ornament. So I'm just taking some jute twine again, creating a knot and gluing our loop onto the back side of our tree at the top. So for a fun added little touch, I'm going to be using some wood embellishments that I had in my stash. I've got cute little berries and this pretty star. You can embellish these any way you'd like. You could also paint these particular wood pieces. So I'm just using hot glue and I'm going to place the star on the top, and then I'm going to figure out the arrangement for my berries as seen here, and then I'll glue these into place. I have seen people use buttons and sequins. You can use ribbon as well. Anything to decorate these cute little twine trees. This little tree has a great farmhouse country look to it. It's perfect for a farmhouse country Christmas. So as always, I love to know which one was your favorite, and stay tuned. You'll definitely want to come back next week for a new video on Thursday for my Christmas in July series. And if you missed last week's, I'll have that video listed down below as well, along with lots of other Christmas decoration ideas. I want to say a big thank you to Fanny and Antoinette, along with my fellow creators, and I want to thank all of you for being here. Here's some more inspiration for you to check out. We'll see you in the next one. Bye!